Chapter 10, The Game Plan. The game plan defines the tasks, the order in which they should be completed, who will be doing the work, and by when it should be done. The schedule, budget, and staffing needs are all interrelated. They must be considered together. For example, a smaller budget is going to influence the size of your team as well as the amount of time you have to schedule for deadlines. Dependencies must be understood to be managed efficiently. If there's a breakdown in the pipeline, the schedule will be affected. One of the producer's biggest challenges while managing the game development process is striking a balance between the schedule, resources, features, and quality. When developing schedules, we have to consider tasks to be completed, time estimates, who is doing the task, and the dependencies. Even if dates and deliverables shift, the schedule's basic task list will essentially stay the same unless the feature is cut from the game. The important thing to note is that even though dates may change, the same tasks need to be completed. Feature creep is a tendency to continually add new features to a game or project. It is not hard to imagine how this would impact the schedule, and often it doesn't result in a better product. While it can be very difficult to estimate how long tasks will take, we create schedules based on past experience. Just as a construction team will have a pretty good idea of how long it takes to build a house, we can make informed decisions based on our previous experience. The producer has to be on top of the schedule, resources, and budget so that the team stays focused, doesn't get sidetracked by feature creep, or spend too much time on certain features at the expense of another. Please consider the following question. Should the team be involved in creating the schedule? Many game studios use an agile process framework known as Scrum. It provides an opportunity for team members to have a large amount of control over their schedule. From my experience as an animator, I appreciate having a voice in scheduling of my tasks. After all, who can best determine how long an animation task will take than an animator? So what is exit criteria? Exit criteria are a predefined set of conditions that must be fulfilled before a task is deemed completed. For example, I might ask my son to clean his room. If the exit criteria was clearly defined, and I then find dirty laundry on the floor, I can say that the room is in fact not clean. On the other hand, if we didn't define the exit criteria, my son can justifiably say that picking up laundry was not part of the task. The process of creating a schedule is started by listing all the major exit criteria for each area of the game. After we've determined the criteria, we can start filling in time estimates. Good planning in pre-production help us develop a solid, realistic schedule. Breaking down tasks into multiple smaller ones makes them more manageable. For instance, when I have students model a human character, it initially seems like a very overwhelming task. But if they think of it as smaller tasks, such as modeling an arm and then a hand, etc., it becomes much less daunting. It is recommended to include the team on time estimates. This process gives team members much more ownership of their tasks, instead of feeling like they are just assigned an arbitrary deadline that must be achieved no matter what. Accurately estimating tasks is subjective and improves with experience. Make educated estimates based on experience, and it's recommended to not leave a task's estimate blank. Time boxing is giving yourself a fixed period of time to complete a well-defined task. I often recommend students time box a task, especially if they want to try something technically or creatively risky. For instance, give yourself an hour to explore a possible solution. If it isn't working out after the time you allotted yourself, you still have time to take the safer, more familiar approach to the problem. When creating a detailed schedule, remember to take into account sick days, holidays, and vacations. And don't forget to consider task dependencies, assigned resources, and bottlenecks. To make a profit, the budget must balance quality, scope of the project, and the schedule. A profit and loss statement measures overall profit and loss of a project. It compares development, marketing, packaging, and distribution costs against projected sales. For instance, a game that has 20,000 projected sales will have a smaller budget than one predicted to sell 500,000. After the budget is established and approved, manage the costs closely so you don't find yourself grossly over budget. And remember to plan for unexpected costs. For instance, the need to buy new equipment or software. Consider where the money will come from. Will it require reallocating money from the budget? Your budget will consist of personnel, overhead, rent, utilities, taxes, hardware, and software. Remember to determine all these costs up front so there are no surprises during the development process. What do you think are the pros and cons of hiring entry-level people? How about experienced people? If you find that the project is going over budget, don't ignore the problem. It's not going away. Instead, take time to reassess your game plan and determine whether there are any adjustments that can be made to the schedule, staffing, or scope of the project. What do you think are the pros and cons of outsourcing some of the work at a game studio? Outsourcing can save time and resources. It allows the team to concentrate solely on their tasks and spend additional time play balancing features, fixing bugs, and polishing assets. In addition, vendors may be highly specialized, and the quality of their work may be high. For instance, cinematics could be outsourced to a company specializing in them. The downside, on the other hand, could be cost. The developer loses flexibility to shift project deliverables and internal deadlines around. The developer will still have to provide the vendor with the necessary assets, and someone still has to manage the off-site vendors. Given all of that, outsourcing work requires good communication. Various middleware solutions might be used in the development of a game. Solutions for AI, rendering, and networking, for example. What do you think are the pros and cons of using middleware? Middleware may allow the developer to spend more time creating and polishing features instead of reinventing the wheel. In addition, the team might already be familiar with the tools. The cons might be cost from a licensing fee or royalties, for example. In conclusion, the game plan looks at schedule, budget, and staffing needs. This is a critical step because it pulls together all requirements and shows how the work is going to get done on time and on budget. The game plan provides a clear idea of what to expect during production and minimizes unexpected surprises.